Resume record. And so we are now on the mic, and Melinda and Robin and I are all here. It's 1 o'clock. We can go about another minute or so and let others join in on Realtor time. I think we had 20.
1:30.
Pardon?
I said that could be 1:30.
Yeah. We had 27 sign up, and that's pretty good given that it's Keller Williams mega camp. So that takes a portion of our folks out. Yet I'm hoping we still have some more come in, but if not, we'll have this on the recording.
And it's a lot of people starting back to school today. So there may be a lot of that going on too.
Yeah. Yeah. My feed is filled with pictures of children.
Mine too.
Yep.
Good reason to touch base with your database. Oh my God, they are getting so big.
Yes.
Are they really in 8th grade?
Yeah. Or congratulations, they're in 8th grade, one or the other.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. I'm Cathi Coridan, and here with Melinda Cruzet-DePerna, and today's guest, RobinMcCoy, and those are the rest of you that are joining us either here or watching the video recording. This is the Senior Success Agent Spotlight. It's part of the National Serving Seniors Real Estate Mastermind and Referral Network, and we do 2 programs a month. This is the Spotlight, helping agents that are in all different levels of work, trying to work in the senior space, get the stories of people that have gotten there and been successful so that you can learn from their lessons learned and possibly get some ideas of things you could do and smooth your path. Melinda and I founded the network 3.5 years ago, and we have almost 3,200 members nationwide and in Canada. And so the other thing we have is a monthly mastermind, and we're having it on whatever the 25th, and it's going to be on some of the lessons learned and the big takeaways from both KW Master Mega Camp, and if anybody has been to any other big national networking events or brokerage specific events, to bring together the nuggets that are being shared on a national level about seniors so that we can utilize them in our businesses. So I'm going to start, and the way we do this is introduce our guest, and then I ask the first set of questions. Melinda asks the last set of questions. If you have comments or questions that you want interjected, Melinda will be watching through that for the first part, and I'll be watching for it for the second part. So we have half an hour, and that's not a lot of time for our guest, RobinMcCoy, who is the real McCoy. She really is. She's a treat and a pleasure to be both a colleague and a friend. She's from the Dallas area. And so introduce yourself a little bit, and then I'll get into the questions, Robin.
Okay, well, thank you for having me. I am real grateful for the opportunity. My name is RobinMcCoy. I do live in the Dallas area, specifically in Coppell, which nobody's heard of, which is a suburb of Dallas. I have been a real estate agent since 2008. Have always been not only with the same broker, but the exact same office of that broker. So I'm a bit of a unicorn, either that or I just don't like change, one or the other. I'm not sure which way that works, but like I said, I've been selling real estate in Dallas since 2008. I have worked with all sorts of buyers and sellers, solo agent, until basically last week. I added a couple of people to a team that I didn't know I was going to do, but so that happened recently. And I'm going through really a rebranding process now that I've got the senior focus, and I really want to do more with my podcast. I've been podcasting in one way or another for a number of years and have really brought that into a senior focus, or an over 60 focus, I should say. So I want to really expand that education channel I have. So
okay.
I think that's it.
That's it. Okay. Well, how did you get started serving seniors? You said you served a wide variety of real estate clients. What was it? How you got started serving your seniors? And I'll ask this too because oftentimes people answer it together. What is your why for serving seniors?
Well, one of the things I realized as I got older was that all my clients got older and so did their parents. And I found myself working in a demographic or an environment or a community that was just naturally evolving, right? My mom needs some of this, or we're moving here, or we're downsizing, or whatever those things were. And so I started noticing that. And then in the fall of 2023, I had to climb through a window to get to my mother who had fallen and couldn't get up. And when you see your mom on the floor on the other side of the coffee table and she can't get up, and then from that moment on, I went through just 4 months of urgency in everything we did. And we didn't know what we were doing. And I had resources, right? I have people that own, and good friends that own senior living communities and care homes and home health companies and all these things. And I knew these people and I still didn't know what I was doing. And I was still in tears in the lobby and conference room of assisted living communities. And I was still sitting in my truck crying before I went in to see my mom and when I came out. And I realized that if I don't know what I'm doing, there's a whole lot of people out there that don't know what they're doing. And not every 80-year-old, 90-year-old has a kid or has a Robin that's going to be there advocating. And there's adult children that don't know what to do and maybe don't live here. So I just realized there was a really big gap in the education of this community, and where it may end up in a real estate transaction. There's so many things in front of that nobody knows what to do.
Yeah. It's not about the house.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Title of a really good ebook. Anyway,
that's true. Not about the house. Okay, I'll give you credit. I'll give you credit when I write it.
I wrote it. I wrote it. It just got published.
Okay.
So
opportunity lost.
I've already got it. Yeah. Opportunity won for me, lost for you.
Yes.
So your wife for seniors kind of is your mom.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I always say if she could walk, she'd be killing 89. She is in good health. She is in good spirits. Her legs just don't work anymore. And so, but I've also got a stepmom who is the active 82-year-old we all want to be. So there's two sides to that coin. Yeah.
Which seniors are your focus? Because as we know, when people talk about it, you say 60 and other people say 55, and it could go up to 99, 100. Somebody that was 103 just got married to an 85-year-old. It saw it on Facebook, so it must be true. So that's a wide age range, and a lot of different needs. Which are the ones that you like working with most?
You know what? I mean, if I had to choose, I think it would be the adult children and their 70, 80 something year old that they just need some help managing the whole thing and getting from A to B, C, D, or Z, whatever however many steps that they have. But there is also, a very special place in my heart for those seniors that are essentially by themselves, that, they either don't have children or their children aren't here, or there's estranged relationships. There's all kinds of things out there. And I just know things that they don't know, and I want to be able to help them. You want to get me on a soapbox and I won't get up there today, but when people want to take advantage of seniors, my claws come out, and so I won't do that today, but I want to protect them as well, to make sure that they are, getting what they need, not what somebody else wants.
Mm-hmm. What were your challenges when you started working with this niche of the market?
I think a lot of it was resources. Well, I have a lot of real estate resources. Who are the best people to help if they need to declutter things, if they need the funds from some of their possessions, that it's not just a junk out or a big donation haul. Just getting some of those resources in place that, again, are trustworthy and are reliable and a good, solid go-to. And I think that was the most difficult thing for me, because I have resources. I don't do placement as a lane. I think here in this area, it is just too big and too vast, and so many years to try and learn it, keep up with it, maintain it. That's just more than this little pea brain here can handle.
We have really good resources because we're in a large metroplex.
Yes.
That's really well resourced.
Exactly. And I would rather refer them, because you can do a lot of damage if you refer to the wrong place with the wrong people. And right. I'm just not willing to do that to someone.
How did you build your resource pool?
I just talk to people, go places, talk to people. Met you, met you. And then I met a half a dozen other people here in DFW, and just kind of went from there. Recently, actually, Christy and Edwina Potter in this new little networking group in North Texas in Carrollton. I met a new, organizer, downsizer there. My podcast helps because I put out calls for guests. And so those folks show up in my world periodically. I'm a member of the American Businesswomen's Association. So there are attorneys and all these types of people there as well. So, that's never really been my problem. Once I just set my mind to go meet, I need this roster of people, I can usually go get those people pretty quick. Once you know who you need.
Once you know who you need. How did you overcome the challenges of getting started? Because you have clearly cleared that hump. You have gone from a general practice realtor. How much of your business is seniors?
Well, I mean, again, I'm 62, so my people are kind of in that, so it depends on how you define seniors. Probably 50 or 60%. Okay. Over the last year I've been really focusing just my personal efforts. I still talk to my SOI, and I still talk to those people, and they still call me for their kids and their first time home buyers and all of that. So I'm not turning that away. I've just really focused a lot of my social media. What I say, kind of the general posts that go out there are about just aging gracefully and making decisions not in urgency, while you can still make your own decisions, and while you can still do the things that you want to do while you still have control over it. And so I think just by the nature of that just kind of talks about who my circle is, I guess.
Right. And I call it street cred. We've talked about that a couple times. And that really is that people see you as that's the personal brand you begin to build around yourself, so that when people talk about you, somebody around them is talking about seniors in need of something, they think of you. That's
well, and about 3 people over the last year have just said, I just love what you're doing for our seniors. Oh, and I just really appreciate what you're doing in helping those old people, or whatever phrasing they like to use. Oh, I see what you're doing for those folks, and that's great. I'm glad you're doing that. So even if they're not a senior themselves, they're not looking to do a real estate transaction, they are just in my world in one way or another, they are recognizing it. And that, I think, is the big hurdle, is that people will recognize it, so that, as you said, when somebody's talking to their mother or their grandmother or their neighbor who has a neighbor who has a whomever, that can it translates that way. In fact, we had a closing on Friday, and the client said, well, I got another house for you to sell as soon as we move my dad out, because they've got, mom died a few months ago and all their whole thing. He goes, so I got another one for you. He said, I know you work with these houses. So, and he was a new person. He hadn't been around me for 2 years.
Okay, that's awesome. And I have one more question that's not on the question sheet, but we used your Mrs. Roper picture to promote this event. And so you have a heart charity that is connected with the seniors that you work with. So do you want to talk about that a little bit before Miss Melinda takes over?
I do. It is called the We Are One Heart Foundation, and it is based out of Denton, Texas. They provide support and just kind of general, sometimes it's living, right? Housing. Windsor House is 2 residential care homes, both of them in Denton, one of which my mother resides in. And the funds that are raised through We Are One Heart, there are many of the people in Windsor House, in one of the houses, that may need to be subsidized. And so the fundraising from that helps subsidize their living, right? Not everybody can afford, River Oaks assisted living, right? Or those sorts of things. And so it helps subsidize that. It provides holiday gifts to our seniors that are in assisted living, skilled nursing, and other senior residences throughout Denton County. It just helps feed them if they need it. It's a lot of just support of our seniors. And I think a lot of people don't realize that there's many, many, many of our seniors that thought they did all the right things. They saved the money, they did all the right things, but nobody in this world could have imagined how expensive all of this was going to be, or how long they were going to live.
Right.
So we were able last year in Denton. So all you guys in Texas, North Texas, this May, we're going to do another one, the Mrs. Roper Pub Crawl, or pub. We have to call it a romp because insurance doesn't like calling things pub crawls. So the Mrs. Roper Romp in Denton County, up in Denton on the square. So keep your eyes and ears out for that. It's a lot of fun.
Okay. All right, Melinda.
Okay. I think you already answered this question, really, which was about your key partners. So I'm going to ask a side question. You have the telltale mic and lighting of a podcaster. Tell us a little bit about your podcast and how that, I know we talked about the content and the shopping and stuff, but tell us a little bit how that works in with your senior business.
So like I said, I've been podcasting for a number of years, and it has gone through several iterations. Thank you. Over these years, it started out as just a real estate thing, and that got real boring real fast, because how long can you talk about interest rates? And so then it was about all the cool people I know, because I knew a lot of cool people. And so we did a bunch of interviews about that. And then once I got rolling with the senior thing, I realized just it was a good avenue for education, and I could bring anybody on and talk about anything. As far as a setup goes, really, it's just a mic, and I can provide links or whatever. This is just a real simple mic. I'm in my office at Keller Williams. I just put sticky wallpaper on the back, so I had a backdrop, and it's a loom light, and that's really, I've got a Logitech camera, and that's really all my setup is. I use Riverside FM to record because it tends to turn out on the other side a little better than Zoom on the quality end. Also because I can just you do the interview, and it will find reels and clips and shorts and all those automatically for you. So you don't have to stop, start in the editing process. So it does a lot for editing.
So part of the reason I asked that too is I was doing a little bit of research this morning because one of our lead people in the industry has, it's lab coat agents. Okay. And
Uh-huh.
ageless segment. Tristan's doing that. And he's been posting all week about senior stuff. And I'm getting annoyed. I love Tristan, by the way, but I'm getting annoyed because it keeps talking about seniors as if they're these old folks who aren't on media, who aren't consuming social media, who don't leave the house, who go to old school coffee shops and sit there all day. And those of us who work in this industry, first off, know that seniors and the silver tsunami and the boomers are not a monolith. We've all read age.age, right? We're all looking at these other things. And so I looked up the stats and I'm sitting here on YouTube. Over 65% of people over the age of 65 are on YouTube. That's their number one social media. So for those of you like me who are like, I don't want to do a podcast. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Here we have Robin, who's doing it, embracing it, and saying it's easy. Then the next thing, by the way, was Facebook, and that's 59%, and that's over 65. Obviously, we all know that we're dealing with younger people too who are helping to make those decisions. But I encourage you to, I love that you're embracing this, and you have all those in-person things. But when we did the pre-interview here, you and I were in agreement. Neither of us are the type that, or let's not say we're the type because we can do hard things. Neither of us find the comfort zone where we walk in and knock on the doors of continuous care facilities, and that's our business model. That's not the way either of us prefer to do business. So you found a place that works for you, but still reaches your community. So I wanted to point that out since we had a minute on that.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned too, podcasting over 55 years of age is the fastest growing demographic of podcast listeners.
There we go.
Okay.
So whether it's on, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Who've been your favorite guests? Just a couple.
Oh, I can't say that publicly.
Well, just some of your favorite ones.
It's
Some of the best ones.
Cathi
No,
Cathi Coridan, of course.
I was looking for that. I was looking for the most interesting people you've met.
Well, I will tell you.
You knew me anyway.
I did know you. So this just dropped this week, and Dr. David, and I can't pronounce his last name, and his talk about brain health was fascinating to me. I thought that was amazing. I had another one. Now, see, I didn't know you were going to ask that because now I can't remember names, but he loves bridge. And he and his wife created this, and it's a website. They teach you to play bridge. In fact, before she would date him, he had to learn how to play bridge. And this is a card game. For those of you that don't know, my mother used to play it when I was a kid. But it has shown that bridge, not just any card game, bridge specifically, because of the way you have to play the game, has shown to reduce the occurrence of Alzheimer's and other dementias because of the way it keeps your brain going. I found that fascinating. I've had a couple of women on who encouraged women to travel solo, not to be afraid to travel, just because either they found themselves single again. Corinne's like, that's me. They found themselves single again for some reason, or their husband wants no part of it, or their girlfriends don't want no part of it, and encouraging them to continue to do the things that they want to do. It doesn't matter that you're 70, you can still do that.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for that sidetrack. Tell us what your goals are going forward in this senior segment.
So I am going through a whole rebranding right now. I'm getting a whole new website. I'm no longer going to be tied to my brokerage website, so that it's going to have more things about things to do, things to think about, things to read, things to know. And so I'm just updating all of that collateral and all of that. So I'm spending all my money right now in the hopes that the return in 2026 is there. But the goal is to really be able to get in front of whether the seniors or adult children, those influencers that need answers to the questions so that they make the best decision possible at that moment in time. And I think everybody does the best that they can, but the more you know, the better the decision is.
And what are your challenges right now?
Getting everybody on the planet to subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Will you pop it in the chat session for us? I actually wrote that down to look it up.
Let's see. It is, if you just search my name and Relax, I Got This.
Okay. That's also
It
her
should come up.
podcast.
Yeah. And the podcast can be found on Spotify and iTunes and all those places as well.
I have it on Spotify. I found it last time. Okay. And finally, for a lot of the people who watch this after are brand new agents in the business. And what would you recommend? Not necessarily brand new in real estate, but brand new to serving the senior segment of their choice. What would you recommend to people just getting started right now?
One, understand that this is a long play. This isn't just because they're 80, they need to sell their house and it's going to happen in the next 30 days. And you have to have a lot of patience with the project management of things and understand that they may be. I had a client this summer, man, she's 72 and she was on it. She moved faster than just about any seller I've ever had, but she was motivated. She wanted out of that house. So it is just understanding the people that are your audience and who your clients are. Learning and going to everything. An SRES is not, it's just a high level thing that NAR gives us. Get in with the Department of Aging in whatever community you're in. Go to those. They do the one here in Dallas does webinars like every week. Get on those when you can. Just listen to them in the background. Just learn as much as you can about what this community is and be careful not to insult them. As I think you said that, they're not all feeble old people that need help. They just maybe want a guidance just like anybody else. And to think that they aren't on social media, that's insulting. So.
Thank you. We have 2 minutes, but
Yes, 2
anything
minutes.
to close out, wrap up with us.
Well, I would just say that this has just been it's just been a pleasant experience for me. Finding something that in my heart, I feel like I can make a difference, that I'm not just another realtor on the street. And that I do have things that can help people get to that next chapter. And I love being able to go into the senior community it's a senior activity center, and talk to people about where they are right now and what they can do to get to where they want to go. So many of them just say, oh, I've got all my husband's old airplane tools and he died 6 years ago and I don't know what to do with them. And, and just trying to help them get to the point where they can get that weight off their shoulders.
That it is one of the most empowering things.
And when they come up and give you a hug after and thank you, that's pretty cool.
Mine are all giving me hugs on Facebook because they've moved away. All right. Well, we appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure.
Always take a few notes, like you said before, that you learn so much from the people you interview. I think that's the biggest thing for Cathi and I. You think you got to figure it out, and I'm like, oh, let me break that down. Let a question to myself. So we really appreciate your time and energy.
Well, it's my pleasure, and thank you so much for having me here today.
Okay. All right. And this will be posted. If you have folks that might want to see it, it'll be posted by the end of the day today in our network, and available, and all of the auto notes and the transcription will also be there. And on Monday, the 25th, I hope I got that day right, at 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Mountain, 2 o'clock Pacific, we will have a mastermind talking about the national trends and how they relate to the senior population. And we can't wait to see you then. Thanks, everybody, for joining us this afternoon. Be well. Stay cool.
Thank you.
Bye.